Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Well, compared to the last few weeks, I am in heaven because I'm pleased to announce that I have no disasters to report.
We can change that.
Anyway, today we're going to be talking about hiring team members to join your company. Mitch, thanks for the idea. Ready? Let's go! So from experience, I can say that hiring a new team member can be a terrifying process. There are so many things to consider. Is this person responsible? Will they stay safe? Can you trust them? Will insurance be okay with them? And the list goes on and on. I remember when I was looking to add our first team member, I was quite nervous.
Nervous? You had a full-blown meltdown.
My mind does tend to go to the worst case scenario, and I'm always terrified of making a mistake. But I'm pleased to announce that the team we have in place right now is amazing. So the biggest question is, where do you find drivers? After all, everyone is talking about that driver shortage, and I'll be honest, for me, YouTube has been a huge blessing. But obviously not everyone will have time to sit and make videos and edit them. So the other thing that worked for me was a trucking forum called the Truckers Report. They have a job section on that forum, and the key here is when you're posting a job there is to make it a little bit more interesting than the rest. So make sure to include all the essential information without making the posting way too long. Include things like base payment, layover pay, detention pay, any perks that you're offering, what the driver's expectations should be, what your expectations are of the driver, what equipment they're going to be driving, and so on and so forth. Now, for those of you who don't know, I used to be a recruiter in the fashion industry. And one thing that we were taught is when you're posting a job on behalf of your client, you should not divulge too much information.
Hey guys, I have a great job for you. I will not be telling you how much you'll be making. I will not be divulging what you will be doing or where you will be working, but apply today.
In my opinion, that mentality is crap. There is absolutely no reason you should be hiding anything unless you actually have something to hide. Now, something to note, especially for those of you who are just stepping into this industry. If you're expecting to receive resumes, cover letters, and letters of recommendation, that is not gonna happen. Many drivers either won't have that type of paperwork to send you or won't have time to send you that paperwork. Most of the time, the application process is actually much simpler. You post a job with your phone number, someone calls, and you interview them on the spot. And if everything sounds good, you ask them to fill out a driver application and send you their CDL and medical card.
Didn't you just say no paperwork? What application?
Even though resumes and cover letters are not really common in this industry, if you like a candidate after speaking with them, you will have to send them a driver application to fill out, and then you'll have to keep that application on file. I will include a link down below to what a driver application looks like. Once you receive the driver application, CDL, and medical card, you have to do two things to proceed. Number one, you have to send the CDL to your insurance company to make sure that your insurance company will add this person to your policy. Our insurance company, for example, is super picky. They will not add anyone who has less than 2 years of experience with a CDL and has a perfectly clean record. So make sure to get that green light from your insurance provider before you start drafting that offer letter to your candidate. The second thing you must do is do a background check, and this is quite a process. The most important things you must do is number one, you have to check the FMCSA clearinghouse to make sure that this candidate has not had any prior drug or alcohol violations. Number two, do a license check. Number three, do an MVR or motor vehicle records check. And number four, do an employment verification. Now, in order to do all those things, you need consent from the applicant, and this whole background checking becomes a huge ordeal. That's why I recommend, and I personally use a website like HireSafe that does everything for you, including those consent forms. And this just limits paperwork for you and your candidate. Now, even though all this paperwork is done, unfortunately, it does not mean that your new team member can go ahead and start hitting the road. There are two things that need to happen before your driver starts rolling. Number one is the pre-employment drug test. Now, you do have to enroll your driver in a random testing program and do that pre-employment drug test before he or she hits the road. Now, if that test comes back positive, you do have to report it to the FMCSA clearinghouse, And unfortunately, you do have to stop that hiring process with the driver. If the pre-employment drug test comes back negative, then everything is okay and you can move on to the second step, which is a road test. A road test can be performed by pretty much any CDL holder, and once that is complete, your driver is ready to hit the road. Now, once your insurance gives the green light and the background check is okay, you can go ahead and offer the position to the driver. Now, everyone does it a little bit differently. There are companies that do contracts, there are those that do verbal agreements. In our company, we do what's known as an employment agreement that is at will, meaning that at any time, for any reason, both we as a company and the driver can terminate the agreement with or without cause. And our agreement basically spells out our expectations so that the driver is well informed of what our processes look like, as well as payments, perks, the equipment they're going to be driving, things that are going to be included in the truck, and so on.
Well, as usual, you forget the most important part. Payment, for example. I don't know. Seems important to me.
So payment to your team member depends on what their title is. If you're hiring an independent contractor, then you can pay them via Zelle, via Venmo, via paper checks, or direct deposits. But remember, a true independent contractor is an owner-operator who has their own equipment, their own company, and is coming to you to just lease onto your motor carrier. You will not have control over this person. And the application process paperwork is a little bit different, not too much, but we won't get into that right now. Now, if you're hiring employees, you will have to pay for workers' compensation insurance, do employment tax withholding, and pay those employment taxes. To do all of that, I recommend investing into a payroll provider. I, for example, use ADP and they're amazing. I literally just plug in the salary amounts, the per diem amount, any reimbursements, and ADP does all the taxes and reporting for me. Well, if you think that's it,
You were sorely mistaken.
after hiring the driver and going through the employment process, you will now have to maintain a ton of documents for that driver. Now, let me go through this list. CDL, medical card, driver application, MVR, accident register, annual review of driving records, medical examiner verification, certificate of enrollment in random testing, road test certificate, inquiry to previous employers, pre-employment drug test, and so on. I know it's a lot.
Yeah. So moral of the story, don't hire anyone, just drive for yourself.
Nope. Even if you're driving for your own company and you're the only person driving in your company, you still have to maintain all of that documentation. Yep, folks, even if you're an owner-operator driving for your own company, you still have to go through the hiring process. The only thing you don't have to do is post that job. I know that this process seems daunting, but once you find that amazing team member, it is so worth it. And this leads me to my last but probably most important point, and that is driver retention, which is a huge problem in this industry. You will see that drivers tend to go from job to job, and most of the time it's because of their present working conditions. Many carriers treat drivers like absolute crap, so it's no surprise that a driver will go looking for a place where he or she is appreciated. So here's my 2 cents. Fix that damn truck if it's broken. Get your driver a fuel card so that they don't have to pay out of pocket. Try to be flexible and don't try to undercut them by manipulating their miles or not paying detention or layover. And always remember the saying, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.